Lucy Ann.
Speaker, for calling me to speak in this very important debate, and I am so grateful to the Honourable Lady, the member for Rotherham, for all the work that she has done for victims and survivors. And while Undersecretaries may come and go, it is so reassuring to see the Honourable Lady in her place constantly standing up for victims and survivors. Now, I want to tell the story of my constituent, Joanna. Joanna is an amazing young woman. She's bright, she's brave, and she's beautiful. Joanna is a student paramedic, and she's just started a family, and she has her whole life ahead of her. Joanna wants her story to be told, because for too long there was silence. It is by speaking out that we do secure justice for victims and survivors such as Joanna, and we must listen to their voices. For much of her young life, Joanna was a victim of serious sexual abuse. She was the victim of a manipulative, depraved man called Clive Bundy. The scale and nature of the abuse is beyond comprehension, and it was discovered when the police identified sexual images online. Clive Bundy was arrested and he was sentenced to 15 years in prison. After serving only 7 years, Clive Bundy is up for parole. This child sex offender is no longer Clive Bundy. This person has changed their name by deed poll, and this person has changed their gender identity. Under the law, Clive Bundy no longer exists. Clive Bundy has chosen the name of Claire Fox. Under Section 22 of the Gender Recognition Act, we cannot say even that this is so. Joanna's fear is this new identity erases Clive Bundy, erases the terrible harm he did, erases Joanna's experience. She feels the world can refuse to acknowledge Clive Bundy and his terrible crimes, even that they ever existed. We could just pretend the trauma she still suffers, the trauma Clive Bundy caused her and others, well, it didn't happen. He doesn't exist. What is certain is that Claire Fox will be afforded enhanced rights of privacy. That should never, ever be afforded to a serious child sex offender. I believe in redemption. I believe in rehabilitation. But that cannot mean that we rewrite the past. It doesn't mean that these truly horrific crimes simply never happened. Now, Joanna wants the names of Clive Bundy and Claire Fox to be linked on official records because Clive Bundy and Claire Fox are the same person. The law requires us all to pretend that this isn't so. The law requires us to pretend that a convicted serial child sex offender, Clive Bundy, no longer exists. Now, the impact on Joanna is deeply distressing. She speaks of her past coming back to haunt her, of the constant fear of always looking over her shoulder, her anxiety that her new life and her young family could be under threat. That she is, in her words, once again, that young, abused, scared little girl that no one protected. Now, we're told this is a loophole in the disclosure barring service that perhaps can be fixed, but I'm going to call it what it is. This is a grotesque injustice to victims, victims that we failed, victims that we will fail again if we allow the law to pretend the crimes of sexual offenders like Clive Bundy can be expunged by deed poll and never referred to again. Now, whether Claire Fox is a continuing threat to society, that's a matter for the Parole Board, and this is an issue I will be pursuing with the relevant minister through separate avenues. The debate today is about whether sex offenders can erase their identities. Madam Deputy Speaker, the rights of victims and the vulnerable matter more than the rights of serial child sex offenders. We all know that is the case. So I ask the Minister to be brave enough to say that is the case and to have the courage to stand up and change the law for Joanna and for Della and for all those victims that will come after them if we do not act.
Joanna